Hello Exiles, welcome to my first video on Path of Exile gaming. Today I'm going to showcase to you my first ever build guide on a Gladiator Axe Bleeder. This is not the Bow Bleeder, this is the Axe Bleeder. As you can see in my equipment here, it's holding a shield, so it's actually a shield bleeder. Later I'm going to show you the map showcase on how I defeated some bosses, especially the Deathless Series run. So without further ado, let's talk about the build. So first, let's talk about skill gems. The main skill gem, the main set is a 6-link skill gem set using Lacerate as the primary damage, primary skill. As much as possible, it should be level 21. The quality doesn't matter unless you're going for increase in radius. The support would be chance to bleed, rootless, deadly ailments, melee physical damage, and multi-strike. If you want a higher DPS and you have a pretty much solid attack speed, you could let go of the multi-strike and go for brutality to achieve a higher DPS. The other skill gems, the Tempest Shield with cast when damage is taken, should be level 1, so whenever you take low damage, you would cast Tempest Shield. The Enduring Cry should be max. This will allow you to achieve almost permanent endurance charges that will be used for Immortal Call, a very high level Immortal Call with a very high level cast when damage taken support. The increased duration for cast when damage is support and Blood Rage. The cast when damage is taken should be at least level 18, not more than level 18, sorry, and so is the Mortal Call. The reason for that is because when you max level the cast when damage taken support, it will also take Blood Rage as part of the set, so you do not want that. You need to activate and deactivate Blood Rage on your own. We have Blood Magic support for Leap Slam. You must have a Fortify here if you're planning on bossing, or if you're not planning on bossing, you could use Blood and Sand for clearing. So you could use the sand stands for a much higher range, because if you're not using the Blood and Sand, your Lacerate would have a small compact area or angle, so it depends on the situation. Another set would be the Aura set. I'm using two major auras, Malevolence and Pride, with Enlightened support. You're gonna have a high Enlightened support, but mine failed, so you could have at least level 4 or level 3. I think level 4 would be achievable. For your int. I haven't tried it yet, because it is enough for me. So the last skill set would be Vulnerability and Blasphemy support. So it will always be an aura. The reason for you to use this, because it's free. It doesn't reserve any mana because of the required unique amulet in presence. So this will allow Vulnerability to have reduced mana reservation. So let's proceed to equipment. The equipment first is the weapon. The weapon should always have the Eldritch prefix modifier, a 60 chance for bleeding inflicted with this weapon to deal 100% more damage. If you're aware of the bow build, this is also a requirement to have for any bleeding builds, because this will possibly double your damage. And the rest will be flat fist, percentage fist increase, and other equipment. This is I think this is a 300 DPS, PDPS weapon. You could have a higher. I've seen 600. I've seen a higher weapons, a better weapons, but that would be a mirror tear. We're not going for mirror tear right now. The equipment, the headgear, high life, high resistance, but the helmet enchant is a requirement to have flat physical damage against bleeding enemies, because it will be further scaled with your other equipments and skill tree. The armor I'm using is an astral plate. You could use any 6-link armors if you want. I started using when I was starting, I was using a worm scale, but managed to have this rare astral plate that allowed me to have the mastercraft of 7% chance to block attack damage. Then the rest are life, resistance. I'm also using this for the -15 total mana cost, because I was having problems with mana. The shield is it is necessary to have the recover 5% of life when you block, because you have a very high block chance in this build. It's cap, it's 75%. So the chances of an enemy hitting is 1:4, and whenever you block, that would be receiving 5% of your life. That would be around 300 life per block. And because of the ascendancy of the Gladiator, it's almost completely impossible for you to be stunned. And with a high life pool, you cannot be stunned. That's it. And whenever you cannot be stunned, you would not have a blocking animation. So there's no stutter in the build. There's only block and gain life. So the rest would be chaos resistance or other resistance, and life, of course, and strength. Strength increases your fist damage and regeneration. The rings are either anything that has resistance, life, and of course the essence modifiers. Actually, this is not an essence. This is high fist damage, flat fist. The best would be either steel ring or vermilion for life, with an essence modifier for flat fist. Then the rest are life, elemental resistance or chaos resistance, whatever you like. Attack speed if you want, that's also possible. Another unique for the boots would be Bubonic Trail. I love my Abyss Jewels. Later I'm going to talk about the Abyss Jewels. This one has a level 20 Death Walk, another defensive feature of the build that would allow you to destroy corpses whenever you step on them. So for those enemies that uses corpse explosion, you would have no problems. The Stygian Vice is a high life, high res, high strength. Another unique would be Pharaoh's Pounce. This is not recommended. I know that this is not a necessary unique. I just love using this one. You could use a steel gauntlets if you want, or any other gauntlet if you are having problems with resistance. Next would be the Abyss Jewels. The Abyss Jewels is recommended for the build because of the Eldritch. That's not an Eldritch. The degenerative prefix modifier. The increased damage over time while holding a shield. The Abyss Jewels is a very complicated one because some would use the regular Jewels, Crimson, Viridian, and the likes, but the Abyss Jewels provide you with so much bonuses, and when using Bubonic Trail, this would boost your damage extremely high. So based on the description, that you would have 10 increased damage for each type of Abyss Jewel affecting you. So this would have around 30% increased damage. So whenever you're using Searching Eye, a Hypnotic, and of course the Ghastly, you would have another 10% increased damage. So I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Abyss Jewels that would further increase my damage. All uses the life plus degenerative prefix. If you're having problems with your resistance, you could always use a Abyss Jewel that has resistance in it. So next would be the flask. The flask I'm using is Brumis Concoction, a Basalt Flask for Fist Mitigation, a Quicksilver, the Battled Fate. This is not this is not required for the build. I just got lucky and it dropped from the Cortex boss. So, but it's not a requirement for the build. You can simply use other forms of other types of flask. The skill tree. Let's talk about the skill tree. This is a Gladiator Ascendancy. I am using Versatile Combatant, Painforge, Blood in the Eyes, and Gratuitous Violence. The reason for the Versatile Combatant, because once you activated this, once you've used this, your chance to block spell damage is equal to your attack damage. So you're actually having a very high chance to block attack damage, and yeah, you could, once you have a very high attack damage, block attack damage, it will equate to your block to spell damage. So whenever you proc your 20% chance to block attack damage during flask effect for the Room's Concoction, it automatically increases your spell block chance. So even by only using, in the skill tree, even by you only using defensive 3 block nodes, 1, 2, 3, you could reach the cap right away. And with the Tempest Shield as part of your skill gem set, reaching 75% is really easy. You need to get the Aggressive Bastion, the Defiance, and the Command of Steel, because these are actually this could actually be considered as attack nodes because the command of steel actually provides you with a maximum percent of 75% attack, increased attack damage per, because it would equate to your block attack damage is equals to an increase in your damage. So once you reach 75%, it also increases your damage. And so is the aggressive bastion. Very high attack nodes, 14, 10, 12, 13. Resolute technique should be taken as also as call to arms for instantaneous cast for enduring cry. It's one node, one skill point only to take. Cleaving and slaughter should be taken. Red storm, bloodletting, and dirty techniques. I've also taken iron reflexes because I don't need dodge, I need armor to mitigate damage. I'm also using 2 cluster jewels, medium size cluster jewels, that further increases my physical DPS, damage DOT, and the overall DOT. So I'm using exposure, therapy, and wasting affliction together with vivid use and disorienting wounds. I'm using Watcher's Eye with Pride because this is a leftover from my previous build, but you could simply remove this and change this with another Abyss Jewel. So the rest of the nodes would be the Constitution, HP, life nodes. This is another important attack node, would be Gladiator's Perseverance. It increases your life leech and as well as your damage. And so that's it. So as I have told you earlier, this build is a very sturdy build. It could reach around 80% physical damage reduction, maximum or cap elemental resistance. So far I have 58 chaos DOT resistance, because if a chaos damage hits, I could block it, but DOT damage cannot be blocked, so it's better to have a high DOT chaos resistance rather than focusing on chaos resistance overall. I would have a perfect cap block chance of 75%, and you recover life, you leech life, you regenerate life. So as long as you have very high HP pool, then it would be very hard for you to die. So
do this just yet. My spirit is spent.
Crucible that stretches the sanity of the mind.
I can't do this just yet. Spirit is spent.
Exile, quickly!
So that was the Elder. What terrible, monstrous power. We must find a way to defeat it, Exile. We seem to have driven it from this world. There must be a way to defeat it for good.
I can't do this just yet.
Did you really think this would work?
Cirrus, please, we want to help you. Don't do anything hasty.
Destroying you is as easy as flicking a pest.
No!
Sana!
Kirak!
How boring and small. You want the Atlas? Take it. It's yours. But Oriath, I will burn to the ground.
Perhaps the suffering of my fellow citizens will finally stir something.
My spirit is spent.
What's this? A real challenge? You've finally caught my attention. This city is nothing!
found strength in their projections, they became reliant on them. I am not so foolish.
Byron, what's the point? Obliteration!
Is life really interesting enough to warrant all this pain? Die. I can't do this just yet.
Have seen the odd.
Die.
Byron, what's the point? Creation itself!
Death, my heart races. I am alive. My spirit is spent.
Beyond, there's only horror.
You will long for
Non-existence. Everlasting fire. Die. Die. I have seen the odd. Be silent. Everlasting fire. Die.
feel the thrill of the void.
I felt something.
So thank you for watching, and if you like the video, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Peace.